As we discussed earlier, President Trump won another significant legal victory yesterday with the Supreme Court signing off on his mass firings at the Department of Education. How court decisions on actions taken by this second Trump administration are impacting its power and the power of the presidency as a whole is the compelling subject explored in a new documentary premiering tonight on PBS.
Do we have the rule of law or do we have royal decrees? That's what's at stake here.
You're not going to scare us, and we're not going to stop.
Our constitutional structure is definitely stressed.
Joining me now, documentary filmmaker and the man behind this new feature, Michael Kirk. Michael, it's great to have you with us. Richard Nixon plays a prominent part in this documentary in that many reforms passed after he resigned the presidency now appear to be under assault willingly, intentionally, by this Trump administration.
That's the thing. When we first saw the chaos and the anger and the fear that happened in Washington as the second Trump administration got started, all those executive orders being sent out, as Steve Bannon said with muzzle velocity. I've covered Trump enough and made enough films about him to know, well, maybe this is just a flash in the pan moment. Maybe it's the beginning of a victory lap, and then it won't last. But it didn't take very long before we discovered that what he was really doing was he had real people around him who were really determined to do more than just babysit him as they did in the first term. And they were, and we talked to many of them. And over the last 6 months, we followed the trajectory of what we saw start with the way Congress and the American government constrained the presidency after Richard Nixon, after Watergate, and how these people, the people in the White House now, especially Donald Trump, are determined to break those constraints, testing the limits of his power, hoping to revive that age-old Alexander Hamilton idea of a very strong executive running the American government, and feeling that he has a mandate. I think the president is giving it a try.
And you have many prominent voices in and around this Trump White House in the documentary. And they, to a person, say the following: he won the election made him chief executive, and what he says as chief executive goes. And when we put that question before the Supreme Court, this Supreme Court, in its conservative majority, answers back, more often than not, you're right.
Well, that's the big question, Major. Maybe right about some of the things. He's done test cases, USAID, the firings, the IGs, the firings, early immigration efforts, taking people by dark of night on airplanes to El Salvador. These are all test cases, I think, to see how far he can go, and knowing that they're going to find their way through federal courts that are composed of justices or judges that are either his, Obama's, George W. Bush's, even Ronald Reagan judges who have found, in an awful lot of cases against the president. But these are not for faint of heart, these gambits that are going on. And they know they're headed for the Supremes. That's the world they've planned for. But the real question is, the showdown that is looming is when it gets there, when the big cases actually get there, next term probably, maybe rule of law cases, maybe habeas corpus cases, due process cases, who knows? Whatever it is, when it gets there, can John Roberts and the marginal conservatives, the ones that might be a little bit in play, Coney Barrett, Kavanaugh perhaps, Roberts himself, will they come up with an opinion? They're trying to avoid it, but will they come up with an opinion where they say to the president, you can't go this far? And then what will the president do? Bannon says he won't blink, that this is a moment, that this will be a moment where executive power reaches its peak, and Trump will not blink. Well, everybody else I talked to, Judge Ludig, Ty Cobb, Peter Keisler, they all say, well, that's the moment we're at a constitutional crisis.
Very quickly, Michael, in the interim, law firms, the media, others are yielding. Colleges, and Steve Bannon seems delighted about that. Very quickly, 30 seconds.
Yes, this is more than just playing around with the law. He's also changing the culture. playing around with Congress. He's doing that too. But the Smithsonian, the Kennedy Center, universities, public television, it's all on the agenda as he feels he's doing what he was elected to do, which is practice democracy. That's what Bannon calls it. That's what Mike Davis calls it. This is democracy in action. Trump doing what he feels he has a mandate to do.
Definitely in the eye of the beholder. And those who want to behold that can watch tonight on PBS. Michael Kirk, our congratulations on the documentary. Well done.